has caused a passion in us that most people don't understand. You know, the spirituality of the Native American and the spirituality of the African is what we were gifted with. So we have those two big God forces at work in us. We have these two big processes that tell us to reach for the higher ground, to not settle for less. That's why we got off those plantations. It wasn't that Abraham Lincoln thought, okay, well, you know, this is really not right and we need to do something about it. This country was headed to a place where civil war was concerned that it was not going to survive. And so that war was fought to keep us in those chains. And that's how valuable we were on the one hand to this country for the takeover of the country, but that's how invaluable we were as human beings to the very same people. And that dynamic is still, you know, like, because we're part European and we're part African, we have a blood, our European blood that fights to get rid of us, and then we have our African blood that's fighting to survive. And that conflict, I believe, is at work much of our lives. And our jobs and our roles and our gifts from God is the power to put that conflict in check, to put that conflict down and aside, and to raise the bar of the demands and of the requirements that we put on ourselves. Like, we're the ones who are blessed with the gift of always reaching for the higher ground because of the way we came here. We had to reach for the higher ground. We had to reach for the higher ground and stay alive on that ship first. While millions were jumping overboard, there's an estimated 10 to 100 million Africans on the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean right now. Nobody has the exact number. But the fight to stay alive and survive that ship ride was one event. And then to get here and then continue to have children and love children and fight to keep our children and take care of our elders and respect our elders. All of those elements were true in us. I don't care what plantation you put us on. I don't care what you took from us when you put us there. We still had those basic common threads in all of us. And those common threads are evident today. They are alive and well today in spite of the ship ride from Africa to here, in spite of the lynchings and the process of our children. You know, we don't talk about the amount of children who were lost to that ride from Africa to here. You never hear talk about that. The bulk of the people that were lost were children. They couldn't survive that ship ride. So, but in spite of all of that, we managed to muster up enough God's grace and God's direction and God's plan for us. We managed to pull those thoughts and those desires and those needs together in a way that put us in a position of revolution during the Civil War that forced. You know, it wasn't that people were, oh boy, we should really stop this. This is not right. It was us saying, enough is enough. Mm-hmm. We decided we were not going to do this anymore. And that's what prompted the Civil War. That's what pushed this nation into the position to change how it was, at least talking. Because when we look at what happened after the Civil War, supposedly slavery, the human enslavement of African people was supposedly over, but we all know that, you know, Jim Crow and sharecropping and, you know, all those systems were in place that just fostered the same kind of behaviors we were going through. Our ancestors were tending crops and growing crops and bringing the crops to the landowner, and the landowner was telling them, well, you still, you know, this is good, but you still owe us another $100. Like, all these crops are not going to pay your rent for the year. So go back and work twice as much, and we'll see. Well, we all know if you ever get a chance to take an African American history class, I don't care if you're Chinese, if you're Korean, if you're black, if you're white, take it, because it really will help you to understand what's going on, what happened, what it was like, what happened, and what it's like today. It'll help you to understand that. The more we understand about the true experience of this history, the better off we are to make sure that other groups don't come behind us picking up these tabs and doing the same things over and over, expecting different results. So anyway, we were dispatched all over the South to farm lands to make other people rich. That process of dysfunction where the dollar bill is concerned, you can see it alive and well today. If you go to, this is always my big one, if you go to any hair care products store, it's owned by some Koreans or some Vietnamese or some people from, Nicaragua or whatever. And the people in the store that are spending the money look like me. They're a little darker, maybe a little lighter, maybe a little wider, a little thinner, a little taller, a little shorter. But basically, they look just like me. Nobody in that store who works there looks like me. And even the few who do work there, I've seen, they don't touch the cash register. Now, how demoralizing is it for us to work in a business where we are assisting the process of making money and we are not allowed to touch the cash register? I've seen that all my life. And today when I see it, it just rips such a thread in me that even when I think I want to go buy, because the word is the products are cheaper, but Walmart sells black hair care products, and they at least hire African American people. Target sells black hair care products. They at least hire African American people. Walgreens, your corner Walgreens carries African American hair care products. And I've seen millions of Walgreens African American managers in my time. So I'm not plugging those businesses, but I am saying that we need to pay some attention to our behavior. And we need to pay some attention to how we live and what we do, because it's our behaviors that's getting the best of us. It's not that there's something wrong with Korean people for making money. Definitely not. But there's something wrong with us for giving our money to people who don't give us anything back, who follow us around the store. And Korean people aren't the only ones who do that. Everybody who has a store, when we walk in the door, follow us around. Now, that associates with some kind of thought process that we steal, okay? Who have we stolen from? We were stolen to come here. We were used to steal this country, and the stores that are in our neighborhoods, the prices are twice as high as they are for any other neighborhood. Police sit on our corners behind the bushes waiting for us. You can go to the Oakland Hills right now. You can go to the Presidio District in San Francisco. You can go to Nob Hill. You will not see a police parked on the corner waiting for somebody to run a stop sign. I've been here 54 years. I've been in the Bay Area all my life. I have never seen a police car parked in any neighborhood of what we call affluency waiting for somebody to run a light or a street stop sign. But in every neighborhood I've ever lived in, I've seen that all the time. All the time. So I got off track.